Hello, I'm Jacob Blonyevich. I'm gonna make this talk on the HCI Big Data course, week 6. And I think I just want to talk more about kind of kind of more elaborate on the debate. So I went ahead and I went through the TED forums for the TED Talks that I'm sure many people are familiar with. And I was kind of going over like some of the forum posts, kind of like, should we be concerned over companies owning our big data? Should, what's kind of the thought process on it? What's the big deal per se? And I think the first thing to kind of think about is what do we mean when we say companies own our data? And I think overall people are referring to the storage of information such as pictures, emails, text documents, web activity, or any other thing that people do that they can collect data on in their private databases. So you don't even have access to it. So you're not too sure on what they have. But you can, it's probably just safe to assume that they try to collect every single thing they can. And then it kind of comes up with another point, kind of, I guess this is almost philosophical, is how does one own data? Does like simply knowing it mean that you own the data and therefore you can use it? I think today it's much more about legal rights, but I guess there is the point that do you also own it if it's about you? And I think there's also the kind of this viewpoint that probably data isn't like an object that there's only one of. There could be many instances of the same data owned by multiple people about you. And I think big data in an overall head of a theme is it's helpful. For example, it helps companies give me recommendations on what to buy based upon what I've bought. It helps me recommend friends for on Facebook that I probably know, but I didn't think about searching for them, or LinkedIn contacts, like, hey, I went to this convention and they did too, and we're in kind of the same field. Maybe I ran into them. So there's definitely helpful areas of big data. But I think the real issue with that is how much should they be allowed to have, or are there things that I'm fine with them collecting, like my web traffic or maybe my email or who I'm connected with, but are there things that I don't really want them to have, which could be things like my credit card info or where I live or stuff that if someone got a hold of personally with a malicious intent that I'd be uncomfortable with. And so how much data should they be allowed, and where do I start worrying, or where should people start worrying? And I think everyone kind of has their own viewpoint on when they should start worrying. And I think the biggest worry for me isn't really the company knowing that info, but the more data they store, the more prone it is to get stolen, because a hacker would see them as kind of like a higher, they'd have more data, so therefore they'd be a better one to hack compared to some place that has less data, even though it might be harder. So it's also how securely are they storing their data? Like when they get more and more data, are they putting more and more effort into security? But there's, I think, another kind of interesting viewpoint when I was going through the TED forums is someone brought up the point that they tried to avoid Facebook and they ended up using Facebook because they were trying to avoid it, but friends would still post images of them and tag them. Like if there was a group of 3 friends taking a photo, they'd tag the friend who didn't have a Facebook. So now Facebook has some info on the guy who doesn't even use it. Does Facebook still have the rights to that guy's info because their friends gave the Facebook the info? I think big data right now is a very interesting concept because everyone, well, at least the security and kind of how much should they be allowed to have is an interesting topic, because everyone kind of has their own answers right now and it's not too well defined. My time's running up, but I guess I didn't really come to like a discrete conclusion, But I think these are just kind of like the points that make me think on, okay, what should I pay attention to with big data, and what's kind of a big deal to me, and kind of going through these questions and viewing other people's opinions really helped it grow. Thanks for your time.